Okay, so we're recording now, I believe, and the recording just missed my intro, but that's fine. I see in the chat box, folks could introduce themselves. That's probably a good idea. There's not too many of us on, so why don't we do a very quick introduction? We'll go around and just say who you are, what club you're with, and just anything else you'd like to share. So I'll just look at my squares here and call on you. Kaz, we'll let you go first.
Hi, I'm Kaz. I'm at the Gainesville Haymarket Rotary Club with Jill. She's our committee chair, and I'm her subject and servant. I enjoy Strategic Water Alliance because when I was the African Science Advisor, when I was governor, we did water programs down on the continent of Africa from Djibouti to Senegal. So look forward to helping more out as much as I can.
Okay, good deal. Jill, we'll go to you next since you're Kaz's sidekick.
I am a committee member on the Strategic Water Alliance and our international chair for the Gainesville Haymarket Club. And we have a great international committee. So I'm very fortunate to have Cindy and Kaz here with me tonight.
All right, and Cindy, we'll go to you next. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, so hi, I'm Cindy Cook, and I'm from the Gainesville Haymarket Club, and I go to Sierra Leone almost every year when Ebola and COVID will allow me to. So I try and see what I can do to help there in numerous ways. Worked with the West Springfield Rotary Club on the grant that we had with the Bow Rotary that's almost finished once the teachers graduate from the university, and trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
Awesome. Suzanne, we'll go to you next.
I am from the Tyson's Corner Club and a colleague of Tim's and Ambrine's, and I am currently the grants person for the, not the grants person, but the major gifts person for the district, and I was AG is how I got to know Bob so well for Area 10. And I think our club has been involved probably with Andrew and Tim since the very beginning.
That's exactly correct. All right, Ambrine and Tim, we'll go to you next. Ambrine, you're next.
Hi, everyone. This is Ambrine Rizvi. I am currently the president of the Tyson's Rotary Club. So as Suzanne mentioned, Tim and Suzanne are in my club. And I'm also in charge of communication for the Strategic Water Alliance. I'm privileged to be on this great committee, along with Bob, Jill, Tim, and Andrew, who are here with us.
Okay, fantastic. Tim, you're next. We'll stay with your club.
Okay, hi, I'm Tim Long. I'm with the Tyson's Club as well, and I've been associated with the grant, the Strategic Water Alliance now for at least 10 years and working on the committee. And this time I'm also responsible for our latest grant with the Luancha Club in Zambia.
Fantastic. Rich Story, I'll call on you next.
Thank you. I'm with the Leesburg Daybreak Rotary Club, and we are just such supporters. And from a district standpoint, I am also very, very much a supporter that Andrew Wade, wherever he is down there, I see him, has been just a significant part of my district Rotary experience. And I thank this whole committee for the dedication and all the things that you're doing. And I support you all the way.
Thanks, Rich. And Fred, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Fred Kalemamsoke. I'm with the Rotary Club of West Springfield. Many years ago, I was president of Back Rotary Club when Andrew Wade visited our club, and we were very strong supporters of the water project. I believe at that time it was just in Zambia. Anyway, I got out of the area, went to Geneva. When I came back, I joined the Rotary Club of West Springfield, and just this year, actually, they asked me to be on the international committee and to represent the club on the Strategic Water Alliance. And here I am.
Great to have you, Fred, and good to see you virtually. Grace, we'll go to you. I think I've spoken to you on the phone, but it's wonderful to see you and meet you virtually. So we'll go to you next.
Thank you, thank you. Hi everyone. It's so much talent here, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Grace. I'm the president-elect of the Crystal City Pentagon Rotary Club. I'm also, I think, the only one who was born in Zambia, so that's what really propelled me to come and visit and be invited to the group and read a lot more. So my grandparents, my entire family are in Zambia, but I grew up in Japan. But Zambia is still where I mean, I have a family there most of the time. So I'm happy to contribute to what you're doing. I've told everyone in the village know about you now, but some of them have heard about you. So that's me. I'm in Crystal City.
Well, welcome. It's so good to have you. Rick, we'll go to you next.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Rick Baylor. I'm with the Rotary Club of Alexandria. I'm on the new to the Strategic Water Alliance. I'm their representative on the International Committee. And I worked with Bob and Andrew this fall to put together our Walk for Water, which we may talk about here later in this meeting. But I'm very, very happy to be part of the organization and look forward to leveraging what we've learned this year to the future.
Great. And Dee, it's so good to see you. I'm going to call on you next from out in Leesburg. You're going to be getting a lot of snow tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, sounds like we're going to get some, all right. Yeah, not looking forward to that. If I disappear, something is funky with my ring central. I haven't used it before, so it keeps kind of going in and out on me. Anyway, I'm from Leesburg Rotary, and we've been part of this for a long time, and I've been on the committees before, not recently though, but I was very anxious to get the updates.
Great to see you, Dee. And Jim, we'll go to you next.
Okay, I'm Jim Vollmer. I'm with the Herndon Club, and we've got a grant in South Africa that we've worked on, and that's pretty close to being finished off. It's just got to get, I think everything's installed, just got to get inspected. They had the inspector got COVID, so they had to delay that, but they're pretty close to finishing it. We had a small grant on a put in some water lines in that same area, and that's in working with the Arcadia Rotary Club in South Africa. So that's the Herndon group. We've been with the Water Alliance since the beginning, and mostly just contributing, but we've done participated in a more meaningful way on some of the grants that have been sponsored by the Southwest Water, or by the Strategic Water Alliance, and we're doing our thing on the grant part of it. We've done, I think, about 1, 2, 3, 4. We've been involved in a significant way in about 5 major or global grants, they call them now, and so we've partnered with Alexandria Club on a couple of 3 things, I think, and went over with to South Africa to the White River Rotary Club, and now we're working with the Arcadia Rotary Club. So.
Well, great to have you on tonight, Jim. Mike, we want to go to you next.
That Mike Janae you were looking for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm allegedly the president-elect for Manassas Bull Run, and I also am the international chair. I've done a fair amount of things with you with Elaine Sowers, and she couldn't be here tonight, and she asked me to make sure to come. So here I am. I told her I would be here.
Great.
She had something else she had to do, so I said, I got it. But I think you guys, actions speak louder than words, and you guys do action. So here I am, ready to go to work.
Great to have you tonight, Mike. And listen, I'm going to embarrass him. I'm teasing. I'll really embarrass him. I was going to say I'll save the best for last, but really, I tease him. The George Washington of the Strategic Water Alliance is Andrew Wade. Andrew Wade's club really hatched this thing back in 2006, 2007. So, and he's been with it the whole time. He's inspired Rich Story. He's inspired me. He continues to inspire me. So there you go, Andrew. I've really built you up now, but why don't you introduce yourself?
Not much to say. And just the Dulles Rotary Club, and to the couple other president-elects out there. But my club put my, tied my arm the other day, and so I'm president-elect for July of next year. So Dulles. So just by
Woo woo! It's about time.
So,
Dude.
Anyway, we'll see if they can contribute to the water lines next year. But I want to say that, like what Bob said to start, like this whole water lines is about like the partners, the committee that we have, and the people that have stepped up and done above and beyond. In other words, just like a lot of times, when you're a president, you say, "Oh, you're the service chair, you're international chair," and people, people come and go. They join for a year and they're gone, and that's fine that they learn something and they're gone. But a lot of the people that are on this call have been around. I think about D, from the beginning. It's like, it's just, that's been very, that makes the whole thing work. When and I think about Grace, born in Zambia, that's very, that's just kind of like, it brings it home a little bit. We're trying to get her club to be a part of this alliance. And by the way, I've been helping your club like about every other day with a couple of your members. They're actually driving me nuts, but that's another story. But Peter and Dan, and anyway, Bob, back to you.
Okay, terrific. Listen, I think I got everybody, and there's some good information coming up in the chat box, so feel free to look at that and take notes. And as I mentioned at the outset, if you guys don't mind, just shoot me. I didn't write everybody's name down. Just shoot me an email when you get a chance. I put my contact stuff, and that way I'll just have a record of who was on the call. It's helpful. And as I say, I'm recording it so I can share it with a couple folks who couldn't be here. So let's get to the meat of the meeting. We've got just a couple very brief presentations. Want to tell you where we're at, what we're doing. And we'll start out by this Walk for Water. In the fall, the Alexandria Club helped lead for the first time our 9th annual Walk for Water, which real quickly, we do this every year to raise funds that help pay for things that a grant doesn't cover. For example, gasoline in a country, or maybe a rental car. Sometimes these funds go to contributing towards grants. Jim on the call from Herndon, he'll talk about his grant in South Africa. We are able to take Strategic Water Alliance funds and help contribute to his grant. So that's what the money goes for. So Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about really how successful this was. And it's the most successful one we've ever had. So Rick, it's all you.
Sorry, thank you, Bob. I had on mute, excuse me. It was a very unusual year, as everyone knows. And we started out, Bob and Andrew and I, we discussed, and with our committee chair, Nancy Van Gulik, who was, I don't believe, on the phone conversation tonight, but we were going to do a Walk for Water, and we were going to do it over in the Alexandria area, something different. And with the COVID issues, we initially talked about doing an actual walk like we'd always had put together. And because of the way it worked out, we went with the idea of doing a virtual walk. And so that change caused us to be a little bit late in the way we put it all together. And Bob commented on how successful it was financially. I think that the combination of what it turned out to be, a virtual walk, a location where we actually met and passed out T-shirts, and the ability to walk virtually anywhere in the world where we have other organizations and members. We actually had virtual walkers all over the United States and around the world. So I guess the results and the bottom line is we ended up, I'm not exactly sure how much money we made, Bob, but my numbers on that I got this morning off the website, we had over $12,000 that we received on the website, plus the money that has been contributed, to the committee, which I haven't seen those numbers yet. So I think the end result was for this great organization and this idea that we put together fairly quickly and with a few issues, turned out to be very, very good for the committee and for the Strategic Water Alliance and their ability to do those things we have to do with those funds. So I think as we move to next year, we probably should consider this idea of this virtual walk. We can, combine that with a real walk, hopefully next year, and leverage the things that we've learned, and really, hopefully make it significantly better than we did. But you never know what you're going to learn from adverse things that are happening to us. And this turned out to be, it's one of those blessings that I think worked out very well. So if there's any questions on how we put it together and how we quickly transitioned, I'd be happy to answer that. We had to cancel some things and start, with a web page that was a little bit different. And so we had a lot of issues there, but we've learned a lot. And next year, I believe we'll be able to leverage all of this to make an extremely good walk for water for our clubs and for our Strategic Water Alliance. So I'll turn that back to you, Bob, for any questions or any comments that you might have.
Okay, Rich may have a question. I'll turn the floor to him.
Well, it's not really a question. It's more a special thank you, because this was a really challenging year that we went through. And to see all the things that you've done as the leader of this group to make it happen has been absolutely a wonderful experience. And I think the way you used the word leverage was dead on. And this is going to prove to be a year that we'll always remember. But then leveraging this to move forward into next year is really significant. And I thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Kaz, I saw you put a question up. I'm not sure I understand the question, so I was going to let you ask it if that's okay.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. Is there a board that determines where the 12,000 plus money gets spent, like on the grants and stuff like that?
There's a very loosely group called the Leadership Group, and I would encourage any of you could join that if you want. It's folks who have been around a while. Andrew, Tim, myself, and Breen is a part of it. But you could be a part of it. And we typically, as a group, try to decide, also with your input. What I wanted to say, Rick Baylor and the Alexandria Club are a great example of how participatory this initiative really is. They came to us and said, hey, we've been part of the Water Alliance, our Alexandria Club. Could we take over the walk? Andrew and I were thrilled at that. They were the ones who came to us, and we said, absolutely, go for it. And look what they've done, their imagination. They made the decisions. We just gave them. And similarly, if you, Kaz, or anybody on the call, or people you know in Rotary that would like to be part of the quote unquote the leadership group, come on and join us and be part of these. I will say this, just to give you some perspective, when we started this Walk for Water, we maybe raised 4,000 or 5,000, and that was like a lot of money. And slowly this thing has gotten more to where we could have between 20 and 30,000. The money is housed in the foundation account of the Tyson's Club. And it's very well cared for by David Danner, a Rotarian there, who's sort of, it's very well. But we've raised so much money now, I don't want to say we don't know what to do with it, but you don't spend that much money in gas and rental cars and ancillary type things. Because keep in mind, we as Rotarians pay our way, pay our plane ticket, pay our housing, pay our food. None of that should be covered. That's a Rotary initiative. But it goes to the project, it goes to the effort. And maybe we can do more things like we've done in South Africa. Maybe there are more grants in Sierra Leone, Cindy. Maybe there's other things, you guys, Fred in Uganda, Grace in Zambia. I mean, the whole purpose of this initiative is to get your ideas. Where is the need for clean water, and how can we, and with this fund, we are able to do more. The grant process is fabulous, and we've relied on that, and we do big work with that. But this fund has really grown to where we don't want it sitting in a bank. We want it out. We want it out helping. Go ahead, Andrew.
Let me piggyback on one thing too, just Kaz. Another thing is, think about if you've got 15 clubs in the, or 18 clubs in the alliance now. If 4 clubs say they don't want to contribute this year, that kind of puts the other, 14 clubs in a bind. So this kind of makes up for when a club drops out. And then also, instead of going to your club and asking for $1,252, we can go to your club and ask for $1,000. So it kind of helps back end, if you know what I mean, this stuff.
I was just curious of the mechanics.
Yeah.
I know our club was totally supportive of the annual contribution, and I was just curious how the mechanics work and how it's distributed amongst projects.
Sure. No, great. It's a great question.
Keeps the budget low.
Go ahead, Dee.
I was just going to ask, I mean, initially, part of that fund was used for repairs and stuff like that, which were not funded by the, oh dear, it's just kicked me out again, but I think you can still hear me, which were not funded by the original grant. So are we still using it for that type of thing?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. It reminded me, it's absolutely correct. And here's the other thing. We have watched Rotary International evolve in the last 14 years. I went to the World Water Summit in Hamburg, Germany, and the message there was, hey, we've been a great charity. We got to end that. We got to stop just giving stuff away. It's all about collaboration, sustainability, ownership, and Rotary's changing. The grants we're writing now, we have to tell them how the beneficiary is going to maintain it. We have to show them a bank account open. We have to show them how much money they're giving. And I give you that background, getting to Dee's point. In the beginning, when we built things, we didn't have the sustainability requirement. Things broke. So we didn't feel we could go back to the community and say, hey, you got to fix it, because we never told them up front. So we have used this funds to go back and repair some things we did early on. The current grants, the work we're doing now, won't require this, because the beneficiaries in these countries that receive this, they own it, they're taking care of it. They have to. If it breaks, they're not waiting for us to come back anymore. And that's a wonderful evolution. But Dee, you're right. We have gone back and fixed things that early on, we never had the sustainability element, never told the local folks that were benefiting from this. So we've helped them, and we've used it for that. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Bob, I have a quick question. So for my club, the Crystal City Pentagon Club, to have a voice on the table, we have to contribute financially. They haven't come, I don't know if you guys can help me convince them. I have been doing that since I became a member. I don't know if you guys have a history prior. In the past, when you had a member for my club, maybe I can reach out to that person.
Yeah, Andrew, do you recall if we had a contact at Crystal City from years back?
No, just don't. I mean, we do know people in there, but but you really don't. The short answer is, Grace. Basically, like let's say you're there right now, and Jill's going to talk in a few minutes about a grant she's working on for July. So, and she could talk to you about it, or you could hear about it tonight and say, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like something I want to be a part of. And then literally you be a part of it, and that's it. And then it's just done. It's not like you're going to sign something and it's a commitment forever. It's just literally a grant by grant basis. We'd obviously like everyone to be a partner each year, but that's why we don't ask for very much each year. So basically you would decide over the next, hopefully 3 months, and Jill could talk about it, and whether you want to be a part of it. And then that's how we figure out the money and whether your club wants to be a part of it or not. And you could just hear about what this is.
To chime in on that, we did have a situation where a club who was not a member came and asked for money. And we decided that in order to get money from the Strategic Water Reserve Fund, the club needs to be a participant in our project. We just can't go handing it out to any club. They've got to be part of our process. And that's relatively simple, like Andrew said. But we wanted to avoid people just coming to the Strategic Water Alliance for a handout when they weren't part of the project.
But in addition to that, wouldn't you say that one of the things that I found so helpful was when Andrew came to our club and made presentations. There's so much that has been done in that regard that really opened people's eyes, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, let us help."
Grace, I was going to offer what Rich just touched on.
Right.
Myself, Andrew, Tim, a number of us do go around the district to clubs and present what this is all about. And I would be thrilled to, if your program committee or chair would allow, if one of us to come present. We actually made a film a couple years back about this. It's kind of out of date, but we've made films and PowerPoints to try to inspire other Rotarians. Obviously, those of us that have traveled abroad and seen the conditions on the ground, I mean, we're really motivated to try to help. So we would be happy to come talk to Crystal City. I would love to, I mean, virtually or however, probably not in person, but definitely virtually. So keep that in mind if you think that there's an opportunity there.
Bob, this is Rick. I think your PowerPoint briefing you did for the Dulles Club about a month ago or whenever it was excellent. And that would be, it's one of those things that would be easy to do and straightforward. And I thought it was well received.
Yeah, thanks.
Bob, the film that you did for the major donors event was super. I'm sure that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was part of the Dulles presentation. So yeah, again, we have different tools to hopefully motivate folks. So yeah, Grace, just keep that in mind and let me know if we could do that. So
yeah, Grace.
My club invited Bob. We're looking forward to it. He's talking to us January 20th. It's about 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I will be joining Fred at the West Springfield Club for a presentation. So we could invite you, Grace, and you can see how well I do. And if I'm terrible, you don't have to invite me. Anyway,
yeah, it's going to be virtual. So sure, Grace, you'll be welcome to join us. Yeah. I'll send you the link.
One of the things you may need to look into, Grace, is whatever procedures your club follows in their bylaws in order to make sure that they can join in a project like this. That was one of the things that we did with the Tyson's Club, was make these presentations to the clubs and give them some of the details before the club was able to vote and agree to join the project. I think, if I recall correctly, I was president the year that we did start this up.
Right. Okay, well, Andrew just politely reminded me, let's keep moving on with the agenda. We have 3 grants that are in process where we have funding, and 2 of them are getting off the ground. One of them Jim's going to report on in South Africa. So this is exciting. This is real stuff where a lot of time's been invested on planning the grant and strategizing, working with the partner Rotary Club abroad. So let's take you through those very quickly, and then Jill will close the meeting with a 4th grant that we're looking to do for Rotary year 21-22. So we'll run through these. It's about 7:37, so we're still good, Andrew, on the 1-hour limit. We're okay. So I'll talk about the first grant, which is in the country of Honduras. And my fellow Rotarian, Barry Beyer, was really who joined the Water Alliance, joined the leadership group, Kaz, like you'll be joining soon. And he has a nonprofit in this area that does a lot of work in Honduras. So he came and, again, pitched the idea of a water project. We as a group decided, hey, let's do it. So it's been a long road because we came to all you clubs probably 2 years ago and got funding for this. We were working with a Rotary Club in Honduras. At the last minute, that Rotary Club pulled out, just said, we don't want to do it. We changed our minds. So we had to find another Rotary Club, which we did, work through all that. But the good news is the grant's approved by RI. It actually has been funded, and work will start in January. This is also very interesting because this is different than anything we've done in 14 years. We're very kind of good, we're not great, but we're very familiar with boreholes, tank and towers, submersible pumps, you know, those types of things which predominantly exist in Zambia, for example. But in Honduras, what we're actually going to do is we're installing a gravity-based water system where we're taking, this is a mountainous region of Honduras, we're going to take a water source in the mountain and we're going to pipe it to a 20,000 gallon tank. And then we're going to pipe water from that tank to 2 very rural communities. These are rural communities west of the city of Camagua. I don't probably pronounce that correctly. It's in the western part of the country. We hope to help 1,200 people in these 2 very rural communities. It's predominantly women and children. They subside on agriculture type things. So they will have clean water in their communities for health benefits, but also for agriculture. So this is the largest grant we've done. It's $137,000. The next largest was $92,000. So, and you will be proud as a Rotarian to know this grant required a lot of things I touched on in terms of sustainability. We've had to demonstrate how the locals will maintain this facility, how they will pay for it, where the bank account is, how much they're contributing, etc. We had to provide a detailed spending plan on how we're going to fund the work and how it'll proceed. So very exciting. So that is actually going to start in January. And here's the other thing. I know Andrew and I would love to go to Honduras, and when this pandemic's over, we intend to do so because we want to learn. Maybe this application could be applied in other countries that we're at. Maybe it can't, but we're just trying to learn more and get better at how you access clean water. So this is very common apparently in Central America. So that's a quick update on this particular grant. I was just looking, I don't think there's any other details. So with that said, maybe we can move along and go to the second grant, which is in a similar place. And Tim, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and you can talk about the first of 2 Zambian grants we're looking at doing.
Sure. We're doing with the Rotary Club of Luancha, which is in the copper belt of Zambia. We're doing a grant for 3 schools. And all the grants include improving their water supply. In one case, fixing a borehole and then providing a tower and a tank and pump. In all cases, we're improving the sanitation system. In one school, we're doing what they call ablution blocks, which are blocks with flush toilets. And in the other schools, we're doing 2 improved pit toilet facilities for the teachers and the students. The total amount of the grant is a little bit over $46,000. We applied for the grant. In this Rotary year, we made the formal application in August after getting a lot of good material from the Luancha Club. And we got approval just before Thanksgiving, and the money arrived in the account here just after Thanksgiving. We're working with the bank to get it out there. They're obviously not ready for prime time international transfers because they say we got to do two days delay, and then we go back, and we got 3 days delay, and you would think it was a little bit better, but we're ready to go on the ground. And they expect that based on the work schedule that this should be completed within the next 8 to 10 weeks. But they did hit the rainy season, so may slow things down. But it's the Rotary Club of Luancha was the first club that we actually did, correct, Andrew, with the grant back in 2006, 2007. So we have a history with them that goes back 13 and 14 years. And so it's a pleasure to deal with somebody on the other end who has the whole process streamlined and understands it in some ways better than we do. And so that's moving forward. We hope to have it complete, and probably some of us will go out in the non-rainy season and see how it goes and look for our next grants. Any questions? Oh, let me put a question on funding. We knew it was hard times, so we wanted to make sure that whatever we ask our clubs to give in donations to this, that we limited it to 500, because some people didn't have fundraisers this year and it was difficult. There was a difference between what was required to give back to the annual fund, and Andrew, you may want to explain that, what we give back, and what the clubs gave. We were able to go into the Strategic Water Alliance and make up that difference so that each club was capped at $500. Do you want to explain how that works, that each club has to, when we say you have to give $500 towards the grant, it really doesn't go to the grant?
Andrew, you have to unmute yourself real quick.
Yeah, so basically, well, I mean, first by saying one thing, the Rotary Foundation stopped matching the cash at all. So basically, part of the reason is funding with the Rotary Foundation, but also they don't like to handle cash literally. So anyway, the preferred method to fund these grants is with DDF. It's the easiest way. And again, those are the funds that come back to us after 3 years. That these funds have to be spent every Rotary year. And the deal that former District Governor Travis White made with every club, they basically said, and Sandy Duckworth actually, she told me she's the one that came up with it. But basically, if you request $20,000 in DDF, that gets 100% match, that would be $40,000 towards your budget. You literally just have to come up with $10,000 and add it to the annual shares. So you literally are coming up with 25 cents on the dollar. So when Tim just said the $500 per club, I mean, again, that's basically, and I don't know if it's kind of something that's funny. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you get the district newsletter right now, the foundation newsletter, who are the leading givers this year? It's the Strategic Water Alliance clubs. Because when the Honduras grant got approved, all that money was received last year, and it was all deposited to annual shares on behalf of all our Rotary clubs. So all those funds are coming back to us in 3 years anyway. So it's kind of a win-win, meaning it's wins, it pays, it covers a large budget, but also these funds come back to us in a few years. So anyway, but I don't know if Anne Breen, do you want to say anything about it too, about getting the word out? Because a couple of clubs have called and emailed, and they're a little they're just wondering about who to make the check payable and stuff like that.
I did want to introduce you, Anne Breen. Anne Breen is president of the Tyson's Club this year, and she's played a great role in the alliance. She's sort of headed up communications amongst all you clubs. So Anne Breen, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, when we receive word that this got approved, I'm going to be communicating back to each of the members of the Strategic Water Alliance, each of the 18 clubs. Actually, there's one club that is not participating to this grant. So I'll be reaching out to you, giving you directions on where you need to send the funds, like Andrew just mentioned. So be on the lookout for a message going to the club presidents and to their international chair. Obviously sometimes the messages get to them and then they pass it on to some of you guys because, we reach out usually to the people that are in the roles of the club. Be on the lookout for that message. Probably I'm thinking like January is a good time to do this.
Yeah.
When everyone is back from the holidays. And the communication will be coming out from me.
Is that 500 above the 1,000 we already give?
It is correct, right. If you give a certain amount to annual shares as a club, if it's 1,000, this does not count towards that. Correct, Andrew? It's above.
I think what he was saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where did you get the $1,000 from?
That you just give that to annual shares, Kaz, your club.
I think he was.
You're on mute, Joe. You're on mute. You're on mute, hon.
Wait, Kaz, where did the 1,000 you mentioned?
So that's what I have our club has set aside every year because that's what we had been told that we were.
Okay.
All right, but this year was just.
Well, we haven't paid that.
Right. So this year was only 500. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Basically, Kaz, and but the club that you and Jill are going to be doing, we're looking at, anyway, that would be the funds for next year. We're looking at $1,000, but this year it's just 500.
All right.
Hey,
So
we could keep it at 1,000 if we want to continue. Do the 500 for the general fund and the 500 to the project that you guys are looking for, and just keep our margin right there at the same, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So what I wanted to interject for everybody on the call, Andrew's getting a little, Tim, it's good you brought it up, and Andrew, I'm glad you touched on it, but we're getting a little in the weeds here on how these grants get funded. And let me tell you, it's taken me probably 5 years to understand this. It's not complicated, but I'm just got a thick head. But when this pandemic's over, I would love to sit down with any of you. We have an Excel spreadsheet, and it can show you the power of Rotary. And if every Rotarian understood this, they would all be Paul Harris Fellows, because it's remarkable. This district designated funds, DDF, how that gets matched, how the Rotary International, the foundation matches. Tim's grant, he just said 47,000. Honduras, 137. Before that, we did 92. This money is grown because of the power of Rotary and Rotary system. It's just remarkable. So if you didn't follow all that, don't worry. I'll explain it to you. And Cindy, let me turn it over to you. You have a question.
Yeah, can you come be a speaker at our club soon and kind of explain it to everybody so that everybody will be just as excited as we are?
It's funny when Rich, you're a leader in the district. When Juanita was foundation chair for the district, I begged her to allow me to come speak when she would pitch the foundation, because I was like, Juanita, I actually get to see how this works through the Strategic Water Alliance. Let me, and she never took me up on it. But anyway, Cindy, I'd love to do it because it's not that complicated. But when you understand this as a Rotarian, it will blow you away. It'll be like, and the reason I'm a Paul Harris Fellow and I believe in the foundation is the way I look at it, the money I donate, I get to spend myself because it comes back in 3 years to our district. And so I have a say. How many charities can you donate to where you actually have a say where the money goes? And you have that in Rotary. Anyway, I'll get off the soapbox.
We've had a speaker come before, but I'm still just as confused. I need somebody who can really.
I'd be happy to explain it. And Andrew,
I'll have my husband contact you.
Okay, good deal. Okay, Tim, thank you. And Breen, thank you. The Tyson's Club is really the leadership of this grant we're talking about in Luancha. With that, I'm going to move along, and Jim, I'm going to unmute you, and we're going to go south of Zambia to the country of South Africa. And Jim, why don't you give us a quick overview, just for the benefit of those people on the call, just give maybe a 1-2 minute summary of what this grant was. It was unique. It's not a borehole, it's toilets, correct? And I'll let you explain what this was.
Yeah, it's 90 pour flush toilets, plastic toilets. They've got a septic field, and they're placed next to, or about 10 feet from a house, local houses that they've got and it's just like a standing walls, 4 walls and 3 walls and another wall with a door that can be locked, and then you use gray water, as a pour, like from their after wash clothes or any water. It could be, they've got faucets within the community that they can use. They built these structures during apartheid times, so they've got electricity into that facility, but they built a whole bunch of houses, and they didn't have anything inside them. Basically, they got electric to the houses and the streets and etc., but they don't have any sanitation at all. No central water or no central toilets. So we did the pour flush toilets, and we put in a small district grant that our club just did for the water fountains. It's a $112,000 project, approximately, if I recall the numbers right. And our club raised $26,000 with, some other clubs participated, but basically that was the local input to get the matching grants from the district. So 26 times, is what was put in separate from the DDF funds, and then the project was around $112,000. And for that, we got 90 houses that got got sanitation for the first time. So that's a pretty big impact, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. And like a good way of kind of just putting the figures in an easy way, 25 to 30 cents on the dollar is what clubs will have to be putting in to get a return from DDF funds to make the projects work. They got all kinds of convoluted methodologies that they use, but that's what it kind of boils down to in the long run. And it's a lot more detailed on how that works, but that's basically my oversight to try to make it simple. I've been a major player in about a half a dozen big grants, global grants. They used to call them major grants, but anyhow, and Rotary is the best secret in the world because you don't have competition generally. I mean, you have it somewhat within the district, but in our district, we probably have enough money to handle the demand. And so there's really not, you don't have heavy competition. You just kind of line the projects up, you meet the requirements, and you get it funded. What other organization can say that you can do that, and you get the money returned and back to the clubs within 3 years? You have a say in things. It's local input, and you work with your fellow Rotary clubs. And in this case, when we were working with them, it was their idea, their need. We didn't have any preconceived ideas. It was all a local club. But we had a guy in our Rotary club, Peter Wilmont. He has a travel agency. He goes over there every year and does some travel, has groups go over and does sightseeing. So he was going over anyhow, and he happened to just drop by this club, and one thing led to another, and just by talking, and he come back, and I said, well, yeah, we can do it. And so he got some few people in the club excited about it, and and we've got people participating in the Paul Harris Society. And that's another thing. You want to really get people excited overseas, the guys that are on that team, come back with your club and get people to contribute points and give them a Paul Harris increase in their, award, in a Paul Harris funding by just using points. That's a major thing for clubs overseas, because $1,000 overseas, a lot of those clubs, that's like, that's a lot more money than, impact wise than it is over in the United States, because we've got higher salaries, etc. And they are over the moon. So if you really want to get a club behind something and get them all excited, and more than just the people who are running the grants, but get that whole club overseas, when they see that their members that are participating get a Paul Harris Society recognition by get those extra pins, or for the first time get a pin, for many of them, they are over the moon. That's what you want to do. Every one of you that are participating in these projects, do that, and you will see a huge change in impact. They will really be, you think they were behind it before, after that, they will really get behind stuff.
And Jim, let me ask you, I'm teasing you. I created the monster. We're getting off target here. We're talking to a bunch of Rotarians about how great Rotary is, and they already know that. But anyway, very quickly, all the 90 toilets are constructed, is my understanding, and there's just a little bit
Yes,
due
they
to bring
are.
this to conclusion.
Yeah, it should be just a matter of months. They've got the inspectors that were overseeing it for the government. They got caught up in a COVID crackdown. I guess one of them, the main inspectors got caught with COVID, and so they scheduled the inspections for a couple more months out. But that should be done within just a few more months.
Great.
And that'll be all tied up. We got the small one, the water deal done, and all of the toilets are finished and inspected. Most of them have been inspected, but they got kind of caught up with finishing up the last inspection because the people assigned had COVID and they had to be quarantined and everything. And then so as soon as that gets rescheduled, because then it caused a backlog with so they're kind of behind. They're catching up when when their people are getting cured of that and they can come back to work. And so my understanding is within 2 months that should be done.
Fantastic. And listen, the neat thing about Jim's grant and the Herndon Club is, you may have picked up on it, it's a sanitation grant. It's not necessarily clean water. And we've done that as an alliance. We've gone to Zambia and just built ablution block toilet systems. That's it. Water, sanitation, hygiene, education is one of our 6 areas of focus. So for those of you on the call coming up with ideas of grants and work, it doesn't have to always just be one or the other or all 3. It can be, we could do a global grant on hygiene and education solely. So as long as it hits one of those 3 things. And what's neat about his grant, this community now has 90 flush toilets. They used to just defecate on the ground before. Now they have a place to go, which is terrific. So hats off to you.
So all of the permanent houses have those flush toilets.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of people that don't have permanent housing that are kind of squatting in the area, just living in tents and whatever they build. But what helped us, is this Water Alliance kicked in $2,000 for us when we were just, trying to come up with with the funding needs early in the game. And we had some deadlines at the district, how you are. District has, you got to get you're in the line, you got to go, let's get the money in right away. And then we were like scrambling around for it. So that kind of pushed us over, having the Water Alliance help on our project. And that, just was kind of the icing on the cake at the right time, and just all the stars aligned, and so we pulled that off pretty easily in the big scheme of things. We didn't have to, wait until all the clubs got, we basically had most of all the money all lined up and the project funded pretty closely, and then the $2,000 helped us just put us over the line. And so thanks to Water Alliance for that. It was great. I appreciate it.
Well, listen, thank you, Jim, and thanks for being on the call to give us the update. So that concludes the 3 active grants that are happening as we speak, in spite of the terrible year we've all had. So that's good. Let me turn it over to Jill. We're 2 minutes after the hour. We did start late, Jill, so I'm getting a little, but we promise we won't keep you too much longer. Jill was going to touch on what we're looking forward to do in 21-22. So what she's going to talk about, we're not asking for any money out of this Rotary year. We're done with that with Tim's and Ambreen's grant. So I'll let her talk about our plans with the Ndola Makuba Club. So Jill, it's all you.
I'll be brief. So the Ndola Makuba Club is also in the Copperbelt region of Zambia. And we've worked with them in the past. I've met with them a couple times that I've been there. Great men that I'm going to be working with. When his name's Leonard. And we had offered this club to join the club grant in Luanshya that Tim wrote, but they declined. They wanted their own grant. So we decided to put them off for a year. Not as punishment, but we thought it would be easier if we handled one grant at a time. And that's beneficial to me because I have more experience to gain from the others that have just completed their grants. This grant is to do water and sanitation and hygiene projects. One is at a correctional facility. So we've never done work at a correctional facility, but that's to build ablution blocks for them. There's 3 schools are the other projects. One school we're going to build ablution blocks, and the other 2 schools will be tank and towers. And then where the hygiene comes in, there'll be training for the correctional facility. In all, the grant is looking to be around $88,000. And I'm working on it now, the application, in conjunction and collaboration with my counterpart in Zambia. And they're seem very intent on getting things started because they had hoped that it would have been done with this other grant or at the same time as the other grant. So I think it'll be easier to work with them. They, in the past, they dragged their feet a lot, but they have been communicating with me well, and they know me. I think that's helping, and I'm looking forward to this.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jill. That's great. So the one thing I left off the agenda was any new business or questions or any further input, but I think it's been really an hour well spent, been really enjoyable for me to see you all. As somebody told me the other day, you get tired of just talking to your spouse all day, or but anyway, I'll open up the floor for any final comments, and then as I promised you, we'll let you have your evening back. But does anybody have any questions or any further comments?
I just have a comment. Somebody mentioned about this being a tough year for fundraising for the different clubs. And yes, we're also having a tough time, but my club is a breakfast club for which we pay so much money every quarter. Of course, being virtual, we pay our dues, but we haven't enjoyed the breakfast. So the board, on 2 occasions, have asked the members to take part of that quote unquote breakfast money and make a contribution to the Rotary Foundation. One time it was like 1 quarter towards Rotary Foundation, which makes the club every Rotarian every year, right? The other time they said, oh, can you take part of that dues and put it in the club's Rotary Foundation since the fundraising is going slow? And the members haven't had trouble. So those are just ideas that have been used, at least in our club, to make up for the loss in fundraising.
Listen, Fred, that's a great suggestion. And I think it's interesting. It just depends on each club and each club's leadership. I love my club. I love our president, but she's really just kind of hunkered down and just is kind of taking the approach, I'm not going to do anything till the pandemic's over. And I'm not being critical, but it's up to us, people like me on the board of our club, to encourage her. Hey, we can do stuff. Kaz was telling me what his club's been doing. It's remarkable. They're having no trouble raising money because they're out there doing stuff virtually. So your idea is a great one. I mean, we're a lunch club. None of these people are paying for lunch. And perhaps if one of us in my club approached them, they may be so inclined to make a contribution to raise funds. So that's a great suggestion.
That would be amazing. Virtual auctions, virtual bingo, and virtual raffles will raise a lot of money. We did it in replacement of our annual golf tournament and raised over $19,000.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we did a virtual auction in place of one of our fundraisers, the croquet. And I think I can't remember exactly how much we raised, but we were able to distribute 20,000 to the charities that were to benefit.
Dee and Kaz, if you think about it tomorrow or the next day, and no big deal, if you wouldn't mind, shoot me just a 3-sentence email of what you just said, because again, I need ideas to encourage my club to do something, you know, safe and everything, not be irresponsible. But it's remarkable what you guys are doing, and I know it's safe, and I think a lot of
One
clubs.
tiny little quickie thing we did. I don't know if you have good news at the club, but we have good news section on the Zoom meetings. And it's sort of become a tradition now that everybody, that instead of $1, it's at $20. And you get billed on your bill for what you've said in good news. And since you're not actually handing over cash, people are contributing way more, so much more that I think we donated something like, and we had a match fund, $800 to the Polio Plus in November, just from good news. And we're planning on doing another month in the new year for hunger relief. Same thing. And people, you know, $20 bill might not come out of your pocket, but it's easy to commit it over Zoom.
Yeah.
You get the bill later.
No, that's terrific. That's a great, I'm making notes as you're speaking. So thank you for that input. Anybody else have anything, any questions? If not, I really sincerely thank you for joining. It's just so great to see you. And
one question. Like I said, I'm new. I used to do grants a long time ago when I used to work in the World Bank, but the grants in the World Bank are totally different. Somebody told me that there is a class that we can take for the Rotary to learn how to write grants. And I've not been able to get a hold of this training.
Andrew, do you want to take that? Because we did remember in Leesburg a couple of years ago, we did some kind of a grant training that you organized, but wasn't official.
Yeah, sorry, I just sent an email. I mean, a text about the next meeting. So Fred, you're talking about just a training?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did do one like 2 years ago out in Leesburg.
I mean,
did we have one also at the district level? Like we had one a year ago when we all met, you know.
We've had a couple in Fredericksburg, spring
Yeah.
and fall and spring, and then we did one just on global grants out in the Marshall House in Leesburg. But it's probably been over.
Anyway, I would love to know wherever or whenever the next one is.
What's that?
I would love to know whenever another one is.
Yeah, but Fred, you can call me. I could send you some information too, and just kind of, I could talk to you about it, and we could kind of get grassroots about some stuff, and just, I could talk to you about some stuff too.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll answer real quick. There's 3 elements, I think, Fred. One is the idea. What is the project? What do we really want to do? That's the big part. 2 is the funding, which I'd love to come to Cindy's club and explain how this DDF stuff works in the World Fund. It is remarkable. And 3, when you write the grant, Rotary International makes it really easy. They have a grant center and they have a template. And you literally, once you have the idea, you know how it's funded, you literally just go through their template answering questions. It's not difficult at all. And I mean, Rotary International, you ought to go to Charity Navigator. I've been there. They have the highest rating because of all this stuff they provide us and do and hold us accountable. So we can help you, even if you don't do any training at the district level, or, we can, between Andrew and I and others on the call, we can help train you. It's not really that difficult, believe it or not. It's a lot of work. You have to really answer the questions, but it's not hard. So anyway. All right.
Bob, do you maintain a Google Drive or
yeah,
G Suite that we put all our stuff out on? Do you have something similar?
We don't. We haven't. Patricia Velkoff, who was with the Vienna Club, and she's not on tonight. It's just been remarkable. She was, and she's taken a little step back. She became a grandma, and she wants to spend time with a grandchild, and we understand that. But we miss her already because she's sort of been the library, and I also have a lot of files. I think Andrew, Tim, everybody probably does, but we don't have one central Google Drive or clearinghouse, and perhaps with your participation on the leadership committee, that's something we could begin to undertake. Yeah, have a common area where we could house things like meeting minutes, the recording of this meeting, and then people can go to it. That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, we can help you out. Our club administrator, Cindy's husband, we bought G Suite, or didn't buy it. It's free to nonprofits. I correct myself. And we use G Suite and share drives on that. And it actually gives you free email addresses and the whole 9 yards for all our club leadership. So
okay,
establish that and establish a structure, file structure if you want.
No, that would be great. I think Andrew's little note on the chat was, hey, when's our next meeting? You know, maybe February, March. Tim's grant will advance, the Honduras will grant. We could get back together as a group and kind of give you another update. And then if you want to join the leadership committee, like Kaz has said, just let me know. And again, it's 5 or 6 of us, but anybody can be part of that. And then you can be really tied into how we decide to spend the Walk for Water funds and things of that nature. So again, this is open book, very participatory, and you guys are the ones that really make it go with your ideas and your energy and your drive. So I'm just really appreciative of you being on the call. And it's 8:14 and we did start a little late, so we're about a little over an hour, but not terribly. So I should let you get on with your evening, and thanks again, and have a great holiday. And
thank you. You too.
We'll see you next.
Everybody.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Christmas.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.